I now want to talk about our expectations for our test bind. Binding a character, one of the difficult things I have on binding a character is to have an objective and a goal where you want to go on it. Because just like if you're painting in real life, it can absorb time and time and time and time over and over and over again. So once we have an objective and goal, we can go for that and then we can move on. So this character, this is actually the heat map version. Let me make sure I'm in that one. Okay. He does have the controls in his body, and again, I've mentioned before, you technically don't have to have the controls in the character to do this part of the project. You can literally just have the joints and do the controls after. So I move through, and you see how the area moves. Now his neck looks pretty good here. Now we just want to see a general motion. So some of these things I didn't even touch. Like if I was going to go over and weight paint more detail, this would need to be fixed because it has to be more refined. But in this case, I could see how it's definitely moving around that area. It's collapsing nicely, so it gives me a good sense of where the joints are. We're not going to worry about the clavicles at this point. You can kind of see the motion of how our joints are actually moving, and that's the idea in here. So for one, validating, and I see some pulling there. That would be definitely something I'd want to fix if this was a final bind, but in this case, no, I'm good. I'm good with the motion. So as a test bind, this is perfect. I don't see any issues here. Anything that really would need to go back in there and change. Things I would paint if I needed to do a final pass on this, yes. But in this case, no. I am looking to see if they're on both sides, if they've been mirrored over. And they are. Main thing is I don't want to see like verts shooting off in the areas or things that really distort away from where the joint should be actually placed. It just shows you, hey, these are going through. Now this was almost all initial weight mapping on the heat map, so it did a pretty damn good job. This is very close that if I wanted just to pose this character, I could completely do this. A couple little refines here and there, and it could definitely be ready for posed. It needs some more work to be on a final animation level, but that's the main objectives on this character. I'm going to bring up the hierarchy map because the hierarchy map gives us different challenges. Let's see, there we go. Okay. Again, this one actually doesn't have the controls in there. I took it out. And see, that looks fine. Okay. The reason why I'm adjusting the head is if we look at the original version of this, if you remember, it had something like this. So that's something I definitely want to fix because I can't get a sense of the motion of the joint that much. So I would put those in there. Our arm, in this case, I can definitely see the joints in the right spot. So I'm okay this as being a test bind on here. Obviously, this would not be acceptable for opposing bind, but for this project, I'm completely fine with that. In this case, the actual wrist came out pretty good right off the bat, where the heat mapping one, you can see how the heat mapping one really, really messed up that area. And that would have to be fixed on that. But the arm came out great. This is the default heat map weighting. The neck and the head came out okay. You know, maybe I could put a little more weight on there. But I could definitely see the motion going around, so I'd be okay with that. So the test bind is just there to get initial joints in there. We just don't want to see something that's like verts flying off in the ears or things like that. But the more refined weighting is something we're going to do later on in the month. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to shoot me an email.